Hi, guys, and welcome to Midlife Mayhem. So, for the first time, let's see how this works. I tried it once before and it was an epic fail, but you're listening to me on the podcast, Midlife Mayhem, but I'm also filming this for YouTube. So, if you want to watch me do this video, then go to Joanne Lee Cornish on YouTube and you'll see me in person doing this video. Alrighty, so what do I want to talk about? Well, I thought I had done this podcast. And then I looked in my episodes. I'm like, where's that podcast on? It's not there. So sometimes what happens is I'll film things for a program or I'll film things for YouTube or something like that. And then I think I've done it for the podcast and I haven't. Or I'll film something for the podcast and I'll think I've done it for the program and I haven't. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. What I want to talk about today is some supplements I take. So these are kind of interesting supplements and they are in pairs. So what I'm talking about here, if you're watching on the video, I'm going to show you, but I will tell you on the podcast as well. What I take, and I take these together, is DHM, and I take L-cysteine, okay, L-cysteine. I take these two supplements when I drink alcohol. And if the truth be known, it is 6:45 on September the 9th, and I did just come back from a happy hour. So I did actually take these two supplements. Why do I take these two supplements? The liver can break alcohol down at a steady pace. This is pretty well known, and it's about one drink per hour. And tonight, this afternoon, that's all I had, but one drink per hour. Now, the problem there is if you drink more alcohol in that hour, it's not like the liver speeds up. It's got a very steady, it's 0.15, I think, per hour, but it's got a very steady pace. It doesn't speed up just because you're down in more alcohol. And the same goes for if the liver's breaking down medication or hormones or anything else. There's a steady pace. So if there's ever when I think that maybe I'm going to have more than one drink, I always take these two supplements. And again, DHM. The supplement I'm holding up here is by Nutricost, but generic, no preference for Nutricost. And the other supplement is by Now, and it's L-cysteine. And I take these together. So I keep them in the car. I don't drink and drive as my husband. Took them to Europe with me, caused a lot of conversation around the dining table in England and around the bar in Knutsford where I was visiting. So let me tell you why I take them. It is because the liver breaks down alcohol at a steady pace. So when you drink alcohol, your body doesn't just leave it floating around, it has to break it down. So step one, there is an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. And alcohol dehydrogenase goes to work at breaking down the ethanol, and it breaks the ethanol is the alcohol. And when it breaks the ethanol down, it breaks it down into something else. Well, it's a problem here because what it breaks it down to is acetaldehyde, and acetaldehyde is very toxic. It's really nasty stuff. It's way more toxic than the alcohol itself. And that's kind of what's responsible for a lot of the unpleasant effects you might feel, the pounding head, the nausea, if you've gone too far. It's the acetaldehyde, which is the very toxic compound that alcohol is broken down into. So your body doesn't just leave you hanging with this acetaldehyde. There's a backup system here. So there's an enzyme called aldehyde dehydrogenase, and it's the second enzyme that converts acetaldehyde into acetic acid. You following this? So acetic acid is basically vinegar. It is harmless, and your body just pees it out. You just excrete it. So we've got the ethanol, which is the alcohol. We've got the acetaldehyde, which is toxic, and we've got the acetic acid, which is like vinegar and it's harmless. The quicker that we can get to the acetic acid, the better. And that's where these two supplements really do help. DHM, so the research shows that DHM upregulates acid dehydrogenase. So that's the second enzyme. So that's the second enzyme that takes the acetaldehyde, which is the real toxic stuff, and turns it into the vinegar-like substance. So this actually upregulates that. So if we can, so basically it's going to help the body move that toxic middle stage out and get it faster to that non-toxic, harmless acetic acid. So the quicker we get to that point, the better. And DHM does that. Now, why do I pair this with L-cysteine? So L-cysteine, which feeds into the glutathione production. So glutathione is like the most powerful antioxidant we have. It's the body's cleanup crew. It's going to mop up leftover toxins, neutralize free radicals, and it's basically going to help the liver do its job. So when you combine DHM and L-cysteine, you're essentially speeding up the conversion from the toxic compound into a harmless compound and giving your body more tools to clear up the mess. So I like to say it makes an imperfect decision somewhat better. Now, this isn't to encourage people to go out and drink more. It's certainly not about that. And it's not about, you get less drunk or more drunk. It's not about any of that. It's about making an imperfect decision better. So, like I say, I have one drink. So do I need these at all? Probably not, but I take them anyway. But if there are nights when I have more than one drink, then I'm definitely taking this. So I just feel like, it's getting rid of the acetaldehyde, that real toxic compound. It's speeding that up, breaking that down really quicker into the harmless vinegar-like substance, acetic acid. And then by promoting glutathione, it's the cleanup crew. It's going to help the liver out. And again, just making an imperfect decision a little bit better. So when do I take these? So probably after the first drink. Usually I take a couple before I even go out, but definitely after the first drink. And I mean, the people that do actually drink a lot say they'll wake up feeling pretty good. Now, I'm hesitant to say that because I'm not taking it as a hangover cure. If you're drinking so much you're getting a hangover, then you're making some pretty poor life choices. And if I was doing it that at 58, that's a lot worse, huh? But I am English. I do enjoy my adult beverages, but I do try and make the situation a little bit better. So the other thing about these two supplements, so you are probably more familiar or maybe more familiar with the party pill, or I'm not going to name brands here. There's one that springs to mind. It's one word, it begins with a C, but whatever. There are big brands out there that promote the hangover pill, they'll call it. And say they'll say feel better in the morning. And with those pills, I mean, one of them is $38 and you get 12 pills, right? 12. With these, I've got 90 capsules of DHM and I've got 100 capsules of the L-cysteine. Now, the dosages are about, 350 to 500 milligrams of DHM. So with a DHM supplement, one capsule is enough, and I have 90 of them in this bottle. With the L-cysteine, then it's 500 milligrams a dose, and this has got 100 caps. This bottle here, by now, has got 100 tablets of 50 milligrams. So you just need one capsule of each. So, and I think DHM by NutriCost was, I think it was like $12 or something, and maybe this was 50. But let's just say for less than $30, you have 90 doses, as opposed to one of these brand names, which basically just puts these two together for 38, $40 for 12 pills. So I think for me, it's a smart decision. I wanted to share that with you. These two supplements, always on hand. Um, it's funny. I was in England, and I think I told my brother about him, and I told my sister-in-law about them. And then they'd mentioned it to them for their friends, and then people are all taking photographs of the bottles, and it's good stuff. All right. So these two together, the L-cysteine and the DHM. For those of you listening, I will put it in the show notes. But again, the brands I use are irrelevant. It doesn't matter. These are not complicated supplements. They're cheap. They're inexpensive. So normal, trusted brands, not expensive. Do not go and fall for the hype of some uber expensive brand. Okay. So that's what it does. DHM helps the enzyme that breaks down the toxic stuff, and the L-cysteine actually is a precursor for glutathione, which is a very powerful antioxidant. It's basically the cleanup crew, okay, helping the liver out. So what are the other two supplements that I take? Now let's get on to the other two supplements that I like to take together. And I don't take them that often, but they are always, for those of you watching, they're always sitting right on my desk, just out of shot. They're always available to me. And I will take these two supplements when I need to focus, when I need to really concentrate on something. It's usually when I've got a big project I want to knock out, when I'm going to have to sit down for, hour or two, something like that, and really knock out a big patch of. It's usually writing. It's not usually filming. It's usually writing. And the two supplements are Alpha GPC, Alpha GPC, and this bottle is again by now. NOW. Again, it's just a brand that I like. There's no reason other than that. And DL phenylalanine. Okay, DL phenylalanine. I'll tell you what these both are. And this one I've got is by Life Extension. Honestly, I've had this supplement a while, my life extension, but I see two supplements. Again, I take them together. Now, you don't have to take these together. You can take them individually. But when I really want to focus, when I've really got something I need to really buckle down and do and really concentrate on, then I will take these together. So for me, it might be once every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's, a few times a week, but usually it's, yeah, a couple of times a month. Maybe we're on Tuesday now. I used it over the weekend. So let me tell you what these two supplements are as well. Let's start with DL-phenylalanine. So here's where things get interesting. So DLPA stands for DL-phenylalanine. And it's essentially a combination of two mirror image forms of the amino acid phenylalanine. Each form does something different in your brain. So you'll see this one is called DL. So the L form is the precursor to dopamine. So, the neurotransmitter that we often call the motivation molecule. So dopamine is what helps you feel drive. It helps with focus. It also helps with reward. It's like the spark that gets you moving. And the L form of phenylalanine is the precursor for dopamine. Okay. Now the D form works differently. So the D form inhibits an enzyme that breaks down endorphins. So endorphins are those feel-good chemicals that your brain releases when you exercise, when you laugh, when you have a great meal, when you're in great company, when you just feel really good. So if the D form of phenylalanine inhibits the enzyme that breaks endorphins down, then by slowing down the endorphin breakdown, D-phenylalanine helps you hang on to that sense of well-being longer. Does that make sense? One of them is the precursor for dopamine, and one of them is it inhibits the breakdowns of endorphins. So when I'm looking at this supplement here, it is both forms. It's DL phenylalanine. Yeah, I'll try and put a photograph in the show notes as well for those of you listening. So when you put them together, the D and the L, you get DLPA. So if you're looking for the supplement, you can actually just put in the search box DLPA. Lord forbid you have to spell out phenylalanine every time you're looking for this. So just put DLPA. So it's going to raise dopamine levels while also amplifying your natural endorphins and stopping the breakdown thereof. So for me, it's really useful when I feel mentally a little bit flat. So when I've got work to do and I really need to be on form, on point, I'm not gonna, I'm a coffee drinker, but I'm not gonna drink the pot of coffee and jazz myself up like that. I'm not gonna take any stimulant or any of that nonsense. Absolutely not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my DLPA, and about 30 minutes longer, I notice a real shift. I'm just brighter, my mood's a little bit better. I'm just a bit motivated. The fog starts to lift. I'm just ready to do the work. Some people will take the DL-phenylalanine or the DLPA before they work out. So if they just want to be more into the workout, they will take it for that reason. So by itself, it's fabulous, and that's how it works. So the other supplement is Alpha GPC. And the bottle I'm holding up is by NOW now, but they don't have to be. So you're looking for alpha GPC and you're looking for DLPA. So what is alpha GPC? Alpha GPC is a compound that your body makes naturally in small amounts. But if when you supplement it, you get that little bit of an extra boost. So what does it do? Well, it supplies choline. And choline is the building block for acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter that is tied to focus, it's tied to memory, it's tied to learning. So acetylcholine is like a signal booster for your brain. It helps the neurons in your brain talk to each other. It helps the neurons to talk faster, more clearly to each other, if that makes sense. So when acetylcholine is really flowing, you're just sharper. It's easier to think clearly, recall information, and stay locked into the task at hand. So I started taking these two. Sorry, the people on YouTube are seeing what I'm drinking. So if you wonder what I'm drinking here, I drink it every day. It's for my skin. I'm going to talk about it in my Mastering with Life program, but I won't stop the flow of this podcast to talk about that. Okay. So I started taking Alpha GPC and DLPA when I was writing my book. So I started writing my book in here, I'm going to say 2016, I think it was. Took me longer than it should to write it, but I was, there was big stints of note taking and going through old notes and two filing cabinets worth of notes and all that good stuff. And I started taking it then to help me write, and it really helped. So these two stacked together are very useful. One of them is increasing my dopamine. One of them is stopping the breakdowns of endorphins. And one of them is actually giving me the building blocks for acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter that's tied to focus, memory, and learning. So when you put them together, you've got one that's helping the neurons in your brain communicate faster, communicate clearly, just locking in on whatever you're doing. And the other one is helping you be motivated and giving you a feeling of well-being that actually lasts. You can see why this combo is pretty awesome. Now, are they stimulants? Uh, I wouldn't take them and go to bed. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take them to, read a book before I went to sleep. But but it's not a stimulant in the way that you might think. You're just really clear and motivated, and you can just work for quite a long while, but not the stimulation field that you might feel from a pre-workout or a lot of coffee or something, worse than that. So these two little stacks here are always on hand. The rest of my supplements are in my kitchen, but these two, the alpha GPC and the DLPA, have always sat. So we've lived in this house for 8 years, and they've always sat. For those of you watching, just out of view, I've got a table on to the left of me, and they sit there, and they're always sitting there, and they have been for the last 8 years. And I pull these guys out, like I say, maybe a couple of times a month. If there's a project going on, then it's more than that. Again, you don't have to take them together. Um, but I do. Together, they're awesome. And the other two supplements they actually sit on my in my bathroom on my bathroom counter. So when I'm getting ready to go out, so if I'm going out, I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to have I'm going to have a cocktail tonight? I'll grab a couple of these and I'll put them in my purse before I go out. So yes, they are always close at hand. So just a little talk about some supplements that you probably haven't heard about. And plug here, the Mastering Midlife program is starting really, really soon. So we're on the 9th of September and it's starting on the 21st. We are doing a whole Zoom call on supplements. Supplements can be very confusing. So I'm going to talk about these definitely and some other nuances that I take. But I'm gonna, supplementation can get really confusing. I mean, how many people have got just a shelf full of supplements and they can't even remember why they bought that one. It was some Instagram ad or what, or they've been taking it for years and you ask them what it's for and they don't even know what it's for. So what I do in the Mastering with Life program is I pull out like, hey, these are my 5 top supplements. These are the 5 that I think everybody should take all the time. And if that's all you do, fantastic. Keep it really simple. And then I break it down into, okay, so now there's some other supplements that for certain concern. So maybe people have got a bone issue or a blood sugar thing, or maybe it's a focus thing or a skin thing, so then I break it down into sort of a la carte other supplements that people can take. But what my goal of it is to really simplify that. Now in that, I'm also going to start talk, which I haven't talked about in the Mastering With Life program before. I am going to talk about some other things that I take, like my 5-amino 1-MQ and my SLUPP332. I take those together now. So I've got a thing about pairs, huh? So I will discuss those. The links are on my website. And I'll also talk about, the GHKCU I take for my skin, and a conversation about peptides, which are all the buzz right now. Talking about buzz, there's going to be another Zoom call in the Mastering Midlife program about all these buzzwords. So we're in a really fascinating chapter right now. And I did the podcast prior, I touched on this, that there's all this terminology and buzzwords getting thrown around like people are meant to know what it means. I mean, it was bad enough 20 years ago, it was bad enough 30 years ago. I mean, people just basically had to figure out what a protein, carbon, monosaccharide, polysaccharide, oligosaccharide is, and people still don't know. So I'm going to spend some time breaking down a lot of the buzzwords that are and the buzz terminology that's going on right now, because I think it is pretty confusing. And what happens with that confusion is people hear terms like I spoke about mitochondrial health and NAD plus and microbiome diversity of the microbiome and things like this. And if they don't know what it means, they pretend that they do, and then they ignore it. And the things that are being ignored because of a little bit of confusion are really important. So when they are talking about the microbiome diversity, and when they are talking about metabolic modulators, and when they are talking about mitochondrial health and NAD plus and beta oxidation, we really shouldn't ignore that, because that's the information that we really should be focusing on. I mean, for so long we have focused on macros and protein and carb grams and all that, and that's cool. But now we're in this whole other level of information, and it is especially important for those of us that have been, on this planet a few extra circuits. When you're approaching midlife or dealing with it or the aftermath of it, just talking about the macros, knock yourself out, great, but it's not going to work. And we do have to understand these nuances that are becoming more and more of the general conversation when we're talking about body composition and optimal health. So Mastering Midlife is starting, yeah, it's coming up really close. September the 21st. I only offer it once in the live format. There are 10 live coaching calls, and what we're doing for 2025, it's going to be the 10 steps. So I'm going to attack a subject on each of the 10 of the live Zooms, and there's going to be a progression. So it's my 10 non-negotiable steps to leading a highly optimized, vibrant midlife and beyond. Now, there's a lot of content that I don't have time to cover in the live calls. So I have a content library that I think last I looked, I had 70 pieces of content in there. And when people are participating in the program, they have access to that content library for a year. So the program is 10 live coaching calls, which are spread over a 6-week program with full access to me. But the content is actually available to everybody that participates for a year. And what's even better is that the price of the program, and I think it's $529, which I think that works out at less than $13 a day. And if you want to look up what I charge per hour, I should probably rethink that price. But anyway, even then, there's an option to break that payment into 3. So the program lasts for six weeks. The content's available for a year, and you can break the payment into 3 over 3 months. So that's pretty cool. I know it's slightly more. I think it's $35 more if you split the payment, but that's only because they charge me $40 for doing it. I'm not making extra money on that. So if you enjoy this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, if you enjoy this channel, then I would definitely check out that program. This, I class myself as a body composition expert, and I am. And with regards to body composition in that program, it is about building muscle and staying lean or getting leaner. And that's what I don't see anybody coaching. Believe me, everybody was a weight loss guru, right? Everybody was that. And then that's kind of getting blown out the water right now. So now there's a few people that actually do know how to build muscle. Most do not. Most absolutely do not. I do. I just don't see many people doing it together. And that's what I've always done. The information is fascinating. Tool yourself up with the most knowledge that you can have to tackle midlife and enjoy it, because it's our last opportunity. If we don't take control of midlife, then the next chapter looks grim, and that's just the reality of it. But when we take control of midlife, we can look forward to a pretty awesome golden era. We have one opportunity. So instead of being fearful of midlife or frustrated with it, grab it like the opportunity it is, because it truly is. Link is going to be in the show notes, YouTube, it's right here, but it's midlifemonth.com. At least go and check it out. It will be, I know people want me to run Muscle Month again this year, and we'll see if I can squeeze it in one last time. But usually I only run my programs once a year, and this program is going to finish November, so it really is pushing it a bit close. All right, that's it for now. So if you're listening, thank you for listening. The products will be in the show notes. If you're watching me on YouTube, hi, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this session on supplements that I take personally that you probably didn't know about until now.